Star Trek 57, M23, take 2.
Star Trek Podcast.
If I were a changeling, I'd change shapes all the time. Everyone would want to be my friend.
Huh. I wish it were that easy.
Why wouldn't it be?
When I was younger, people were always asking me to change shape for them. They'd pretend to be my friends, but all they wanted was to see me become a chair, animal. None of them ever really cared about me.
Maybe they were scared of you.
Some of them probably were.
I'm not afraid of you.
I'm glad to hear that.
Oh, Long Johnson. Oh, Long Johnson.
What?
Okay.
Why are you saying this?
Oh, Long Johnson.
Long Johnson.
Oh, Long Johnson.
Long Johnson. Long Johnson. Are you loading it up?
No.
Oh, okay.
Why would I be?
Because I don't know. You kept saying Oolong Johnson.
Oh, Long Johnson.
Okay, can we start the podcast?
What does that mean?
It's a meme thing. It's a cat that goes Oolong Johnson.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
It's got Star Trek.
I knew you were loading it up. Oh, I can't get it.
There was like people at where I work were getting into like these videos of like where they have goats like going like.
Oh yeah, goats sound like people.
Yeah, and there was just like it was just this video of like over and over again this goat going like along with like some music or something. It was very bizarre.
They're probably like a TikTok orchestra thing.
Yeah.
I've been investigating this TikTok business that the kids are into. Right?
Mm-hmm.
TikTok orchestra thing, where they take what they do is one person takes a clip and then they put some music to it, and then another person takes both of those clips together and they add their bit, and it just adds up into a cacophony. But usually it's actually pretty good.
Wait, weren't they doing that YouTube during the pandemic? It's not that funny to mispronounce a word slightly. Like, especially when you correct yourself. It's like, if this is really what you think is like high-level humor, we're in trouble.
I didn't say it was high-level humor. We may enjoy...
This is the internet.
We may find pleasure in the baser things in life, Dan.
I think you're just exaggerating to like cause problems. But
what about the bacchanal, Dan? What about just enjoying the base pleasures?
Wasn't YouTube? Didn't they do that during the pandemic when people would like record one thing and then they'd give it to someone else and they'd add a second?
Yeah, I think it was a slightly different vibe though. All right. Anyway, that's all of that is to say, welcome to the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
170.
Yeah, we want to get right started. Get right started into the business.
Started right.
Start off on the right foot, and that foot is podcast Star Trek podcast.
That foot is the left foot.
And on this Star Trek podcast, which episode are we discussing, gentlemen?
Shadowplay.
How fascinating.
How fascinating.
It should have been called Hologram.
Yes, we are.
Those guys kept saying hologram.
Holo generator.
We are
Hologram.
Okay.
Hologram.
Right. Yes.
Precisely.
Holograms? Holo generator. Hologram.
And a holo generator.
Holograms.
Yes. Holograms and holo generators.
Holograms.
So
Hologram.
Newer listeners.
Omicron particles.
Holo generator.
Newer listeners.
Holograms?
Dan has been recently provided with the capability and the capacity to play audio clips.
Hologram.
And it's working out great so far.
And sometimes I even forgot that they were holograms.
If you're interested in sort of the It's Got Star Trek flavor
Holo generator.
without the audio clips, just listen to any episode prior to like last week.
I'm some kind of hologram. Hologram.
And sometimes I even forgot that they were holograms.
You have the one for like Chief O'Brien.
But you're still a hologram.
They were consistent.
Chief O'Brien? But I don't know anything about engineering. Chief O'Brien? Chief O'Brien?
I want that to be my new
But
error
I don't know
message.
anything about engineering. Chief O'Brien?
He's okay, I guess.
Chief O'Brien?
All right.
It's okay, but I don't know anything about engineering.
But she's still a hologram.
Holograms?
Hologram. Holograms.
Holo generator. Hologram. I'm some kind of hologram.
Some kind of hologram.
And sometimes I even forgot that they were holograms.
The Deep Space Nine is the show we're watching. We watched. You watched too, as a dutiful audience member
You said dutiful.
who's done your homework, and who knows that we are going to have a spoiler-filled discussion of this episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine from
You must be mistaken.
season 2. It's episode 16 of season 2 of Deep Space Nine,
How
and
fascinating.
and we'll get right into it soon enough. Dan's still working this out of his system a little bit. One more?
Chief O'Brien?
All right. So, okay. Now, podcast.
Hologram.
We're going to have to like a particularly professional start this week.
There was an unusual particle field in the gamma quadrant.
Okay. There will
You
be.
stop it right now, Dan.
There will be.
Sorry, I mentioned it.
There will be some small amount of structure imposed momentarily, audience. I apologize.
I despise you.
Dan is delighting me with these shenanigans.
Okay.
No, it's
It's like the more I do it, the less it gets out of my system.
no, you're just shooting your whole wad at once.
Yeah, I know. You're right. You're right. I
Whole
gotta,
fucking episode.
Like, save it, man.
We've heard.
I know.
I think we only haven't heard Kira and Barile.
oh yeah. Well, we'll hold off on that one.
All
then.
right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And like you know, it's good that you're showing us a modicum of restraint.
Speaking of some like not safe for work ASMR kind of gross
Did you say
noises.
Nazis at work?
No.
Okay, I'm just making sure, man. Nazis are a problem these days.
Well, you work for like the government or something. So
No, I don't. I don't work for the government.
wait a minute. No, you don't.
No, I don't.
Never mind.
Okay, now the audience is free to conclude what they will.
I was talking about not safe for work.
Nazis at work.
ASMR, because Jesse blew his nose earlier, and there's some kind of stuff going on later in this episode with Kira.
Oh,
and Barile,
so you're giving our audience a heads up that some of the audio clips that you will play may be of at least potentially interpreted it in a lascivious manner.
Just one, and then I'll warn you.
I don't know how lascivious.
In a manner in which, if you were to play it loudly in the office,
You must be
Whoa,
mistaken.
sorry.
Oh yeah,
Sorry,
maybe not
that
in
was
the
an
I
office.
am very much not mistaken, sir. I am very much not mistaken. But yes. So all sensible people would listen to the It's Got Star Trek podcast with headphones
Yeah.
or safely ensconced at home.
There's a lot of cuss words.
Yeah. There's a lot of cuss words.
There can be a lot of
Jesse
fucking
would
cuss
say.
words.
All right. So Dan, now we're in the
All the
process of inching towards
Okay.
our in-depth analysis of this
Hologram.
this episode. Where shall we begin?
Holograms.
Well, there's an unusual particle field in the gamma quadrant.
Okay.
So the interesting particle field, which is caused by Omicron.
By an Omicron particle.
Now
which is a very rare particle.
But there's also a
Very
planet.
rare.
There's
Extremely
there's
rare.
also a planet. So there's Omicron particles, but there's also an Omicron theta planet, completely unrelated.
Oh,
That's where
sure.
data was found.
Well, they're
right?
always naming planets like after letters and shit.
Is there oxygonia and hydrolilium, hydrogenilium?
There's like
No, but it's-
Racoculaculus.
Omicron's Greek. It's
Yeah,
not. It's not.
yeah.
It's not an
Okay.
element.
It's a Greek letter.
Fine. That works. That's fair enough. That's fine.
Okay.
Fair enough.
They name them after like Greek and Latin letters.
But you notice that the Omicron particles we find out is what's creating the hollow field, the hollow
field of dreams.
the hollow
If
projector.
you program it, they will come.
It was the hollow projector, and it was able.
Hologram.
Well, we would say holoprojector because
holographic
we're
projector.
from the Mid-Atlantic region, but these people were saying projectors, holograms.
Yeah, are they like
Hologram.
Canadian or something?
Holo generator.
Yeah, I don't know.
because I know Canadians say project,
Yeah.
and I know they say
sometimes.
process,
Yeah.
but I don't know if they say holograms.
Mhm.
If you're from Canada or Canada, whichever you prefer.
And people in England say process.
Write into feedback@itsgotstartrek.com or hit us up on social media at It's Got Star Trek, whichever social media you're into. Just look at It's Got Star Trek. And let us know how Canadians would say hologram.
Hologram.
So the Omicron particles was created. It's it was the antimatter sort of.
It's probably some kind of matter-antimatter reactor.
Yeah, that's what that was. The
Probably. Yeah.
That's what we think.
Yeah.
But that's what was causing the holograms.
Not causing, creating.
Creating, which is another way of saying causing.
Philosophically, I think you would need agency to cause.
Okay, fair enough.
Something.
Okay. But they didn't know that it was being used as like a holo projector at first, implying that their holo generators, their holo suites, don't use Omicron particles. Because if
I don't think they do.
Because if they did, they would be like, well, maybe there's a holo projector.
Well, they said that the Omicron particles are extremely rare.
Right, and they said that too.
And I know that you could tell that. I mean, the holodecks don't use the same kind of technology.
So it's interesting that
Village was.
It's interesting that they've established that there's there's more than one way to gram a holo.
Totally.
Or a hologram.
Grandma holo.
There's more than one way to skin a hologram.
No way, bro. No bray.
No bray.
No bray.
Bray?
No bray.
No bray, bro. No
Bray,
bray.
Yeah, well, excellent observations about the Omicron.
Chief O'Brien.
The Omicron stuff. How about this?
Chief O'Brien?
How about this? How about this? I'll be the bad guy.
Okay.
I'll put some structure on this. So to start out with, we'll have a quick quiz.
Uh-oh.
Who was this episode written by?
It was written by Kenneth Tobey.
No, it was not.
Oh, hold up. I was just.
Why would you say
I was
that?
actually just looking at it. It was written by Robert Hewitt Wolfe.
Yes, it was written by Rob. Why would you say Kenneth Tobey?
Because Kenneth Tobey had something to do with this episode too.
Yes, he was the actor. And do you know which actor he was?
Was he like Coleus or something?
Hologram.
Or was he Rurigan? Rad Rurigan.
He was Rurigan because Kenneth Mars, the other Kenneth, was Coleus. But we'll get to him in a second.
He wrote a fistful of
generators.
datas.
Yes, Robert Hewitt Wolfe. That was the second question: is what TNG episode did he write?
I answered it before you asked it.
And you answered it before you asked, which was a fistful of datas.
Mm-hmm.
But he mostly wrote it for Deep Space Nine, and he wrote a ton of Deep Space Nine episodes. Yeah, some not so great. Like he did that whole Risa Worf.
He's a
the
pretty,
DS9 episode.
He's a pretty young dude. He was writing these when he was pretty young.
Yeah, he was quite young, just out of college. But he wrote The Wire. He wrote Past Tense. Past tense,
our
past
favorite.
tense,
Our
past
favorite.
tense,
Yeah.
Past tense.
parts 1 and 2.
Our favorite.
Hard Time,
Little
that
Green-
fucked up
Little Green
episode.
Men.
Little Green Men is a great episode.
Family Business.
Oh, and he wrote The Ascent, or at least, was involved with writing all of these episodes, sometimes with Ira Stephen Bear or another partner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. He wrote
He worked on the Dresden Files. too.
Yes, he did a bunch of other cool television shows.
I never saw that.
But I think he was a good writer, and I think I brought that up partly because I think this is a really nicely written episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
This is not a brilliant idea. There's nothing earth shaking here, but all the components of this episode are really just nice.
Yeah,
it just fits together nicely.
The relationship Odo and Taya have together is really cool.
really nice.
It's like they both. It's funny because you got this gruff Odo, the classic like gruff brr guy, and then the sweet young girl, and they actually get along because they have a lot in common. They're both looking for their parents. Odo has a certain kind of vulnerability to him, and he
because Odo does that whole thing where he acts as if he doesn't care. Like they set this up nicely in the very first part where Odo and Dax are in the shuttlecraft, and Odo's all like, "I don't give a fuck about these people."
Mm-hmm.
And why do people care about fucking?
Which is also interesting because she's like, well, what about Kira? He's like, that's different. And then of course later on, like, he cares. So
but the thing, my point is that he pushes that idea away. He acts as if it's all tough.
Right.
Any sort of connection, interpersonal connection. But that's because he craves it. And when it happens, then he turns all mushy and gushy.
Right, yeah.
Like with Taya.
And it's important that it's with Taya because like I was saying, he's gruff on the outside.
Gruff on the outside.
But there's a certain
Gruff the crime dog.
There's a certain vulnerability to
Was he the crime dog? Gruff the crime dog?
Yes, McGruff, okay.
Yeah.
Did he commit
McGruff.
crimes?
No.
McGruff the crime dog?
No.
He sniffed out crimes.
So Odo has this he's got a certain vulnerability that's caused by like an arrested development that he's experiencing from like emotionally and socially,
And cruelty,
and just like
endured
kids,
cruelty.
he's talking about how the kids would pretend to be his friends, but really they just wanted to exploit him and
wanted to
laugh.
sit on
They
him.
wanted to treat him as a clown,
It's
basically.
like when the kids wanted to steal your Nintendo game, so they were friendly to you, and then they took your Nintendo game.
But then I took it back. I tricked him, and I was like, "I'm going to call your mom." And he was like, "Okay."
You told that story
Yeah.
on the air before.
Yeah, I was like, "Hey, dude, we should hang out sometime. Give me your number." And then he
Yeah.
gave it to me. He's like, "I'm gonna call your mom if you don't give me Castlevania back."
Yeah, I'm
and
gonna
he gave,
rat on you to your
gave me
mom.
Castlevania. But so he can get along with her because part of Odo is kind of like a child in a certain way. So. And then he knows that she has no ulterior motives. You know, she knows she's honest, so he can really trust her, and he gets it. So he's like a lot of ways, like, you know, he's got that kind of inner child in him. Or
The other thing about this,
I'm surprised I was able to say Arrested Development without you making some reference to the TV show.
Which
Oh,
TV
I thought
show?
you meant to the
Which
band.
TV show is that?
No, oh, there's also
Here, man,
the
have
band.
$1. In fact, no, brother man, here, have two. $2 means a snack for me, but it means a big deal to you. Be strong, serve God only. Know that if you do, beautiful heaven awaits. Esther rolled my
Yeah.
world the first time I saw a man with no clothes, no money, no place, Mr. Wendell. That's his name. No one
Okay,
ever knew his
right,
name.
right, right.
Wendell.
Okay, we can stop. We can stop.
Okay, all right, you know.
So, but I'm surprised. I would say that Patrick is maturing, but I don't know if that's true.
Because I undermined the Arrested Development
No,
TV show
no,
joke with the
no,
Arrested Development.
No, because
the
you didn't make
90s band
because you didn't
joke.
interrupt me and go off on some tangent about like some other thing that Arrested Development was referring to, other than the thing I was saying. Like that time last week, I said it raises the stakes, and you of course talked about stakes. Now I predicted you would do that.
About the eating stakes versus the dramatic stakes.
Right, and I predicted you were going to turn it into eating steaks, and you did.
It's a classic pun.
This
Classic
week,
pun.
I said Arrested Development. I was like, Patrick's going to do something and switch that over and make that a joke, and you didn't. So you're growing. That's good. I'm proud of you.
Or because
It's a developing podcast.
we're working at a high level of creativity here.
The highest.
I knew that it was not a well-timed thing to do at that moment.
How fascinating.
Odo.
Yeah.
I do love how Odo couldn't give a shit about what's going on here until there's a fucking hint of a mystery, and then Odo gets all like immediately horny over the mystery.
Yeah, right.
Like immediately
Right.
horny
Yeah,
over
he
the
was
mystery.
like, oh, maybe we can help out a little bit.
I can solve a mystery.
Maybe we can do something about it. Oh,
Like Cookie Monster.
I'll help you solve crime.
Cookie? Mystery?
Yeah.
But yes, and that fits with the character. This is, you gotta remember, this is season 2 of a brand new Star Trek show where they're doing something very different. But they are already zeroing in on all these characters and providing such excellent character background. All of these folks. Dax and her gossiping, right? Dax loves to gossip.
Which is interesting because she was saying like, you know, I'm seven lifetimes old, and impersonal questions get kind of boring. So like, but instead of impersonal questions, she just straight up gossips. So it's just to prove that as you get older, the only thing that's left interesting to talk about is gossip, basically.
Yeah, gossip, or it's almost similar.
It's like 7 lifetimes old, and I'm sick of talking about the weather, but let's gossip about what this relationship, that person. It's like that never gets old after hundreds of years.
Well, it's a version of the stereotype of the elderly person who just doesn't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, right.
And a lot of times people ascribe it to their mental faculties are failing. It's like, no, they just don't give a shit anymore. So they're all like, hey.
So you think that everybody secretly wants to gossip, but most people like don't because they think it's tacky or something?
Now you've created an assertion.
No,
that
but
I
How
have not
many?
made.
How many Starfleet people are on Deep Space
Wait. No, hold on.
Shit, I think DS9 holds like 50,000.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people. I don't know that they're all they're not all Starfleet.
there's all them Bajoran.
Hey, we're not done with this point yet. Okay.
All right.
Listen.
Patrick accused me of
turning.
making something up, and then
I
you
did
guys
not accuse you of making something up. I was just clarifying. It was not an accusation. It was merely I was saying that I didn't make the assertion that you were suggesting, that I don't think everyone wants to gossip.
Well, what you said, I said what
I was more comparing it to old people.
What-
She's an old person. technically
And I
because
was
of the
saying,
Dax thing.
and you
so
said
she just doesn't give a
but
fuck about like offending people.
But you
anymore.
said she's gossiping, and then I made the point of like, yeah, she's after 7 lifetimes. Regular questions are boring, but gossip is still exciting.
Yes.
And then you went on to link that to the point, like, oh yeah, well, when you get older, you just don't give a fuck, which kind of implies to say
I
that
didn't
as
say-
you get older,
I did
you
not
like
say-
to gossip.
I did
and
not
it means
say,
like you didn't gossip when you were younger
I
because
referenced the specific
you thought it was tacky.
stereotype. I referenced the stereotype. I did not say that old people in fact do this.
No, I know it's a stereotype.
But I meant I framed it as a stereotype very carefully, specifically to avoid the scenario we find ourselves in right now.
But it's a stereotype implying that they wanted to gossip when they were younger, and they didn't gossip as much when they were younger because they gave more of a fuck. That's what you were saying.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Good. All right. I'm glad we resolved all that.
Okay. How many people are in DS9?
How many? All right,
Well, okay, there's Starfleet and then there's like Bajoran Defense, whatever.
There are normally 300 permanent residents of the station. Though the station can accommodate up to 7,000.
I don't buy that.
What did you say? Like 50,000?
That's a big old station.
I don't think it's
man.
300 people.
That's a big old station.
That's according to Wikipedia.
There's only 300.
I don't buy that. Look at
Starfleet
Memory Alpha.
or just everybody on the ship. Like,
It's a giant ass space station. The Enterprise D that has a crew complement north of 1,000
Yeah.
is
It
a
says-
tiny little ship on one of the
Yeah.
pylons.
It says Deep Space Memory Alpha says crew 300 to 2,000, capacity 7,000.
I think it's higher than that.
Okay.
I don't buy Memory Alpha. I could buy that the crew is like between 300
I can
and
see
2,000.
yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, and it's a difference between when they first got there, when Cisco first arrives in Emissary, there's no fucking wormhole, and everyone's just said they're just like, this is just some shitty backwater. Okay, 300 Starfleet. All right.
Sorry I mentioned it.
Very good. Clever girl.
That'd be awesome if I had that one all ready to go.
So one point I wanted to make is that Deep Space Nine, especially early on, one of the knocks against it was the whole like, oh, it's a space station. It's all stationary. They're all like in one place.
Funny
actually-
being stationary on a station.
They were always going on these adventures
lame,
in
dude.
runabouts.
Yeah.
Not quite as extensive as once they got the Defiant later on. But not only were they going on these adventures, because they were going in runabouts, it was always like an intimate affair and an isolated affair. It was always like a couple people
Right, a couple of
dealing
them.
with some, and they didn't have like a spaceship with 1,000 crew of the top of the line crew up in orbit to help them and problem solve.
It's not the Enterprise.
They're like off on their own, and I think this episode is a really good example of that. But there are many others, but where Odo and Dax are really, they have to resolve whatever they're doing. They gotta kind of deal with it themselves.
Without Chief O'Brien.
and it's cool because they can kind of get together.
Chief O'Brien?
They can pair these people, like you said, put them off in small groups and create these different
Like
scenarios.
pairing a nice wine with a lovely fish.
They can pair these people off or put them in small groups, and then you can look at the dynamic of these different permutations of relationships.
I will drink a red wine with fish. I got no problem doing that. I mean, it depends. I'm not going to make a big deal about it either way. I'm just saying.
Well, like a salmon or even maybe a swordfish.
yeah,
How
like
fascinating.
it's like a thick, meaty
A
fish.
thick, meaty fish.
Yeah.
If it's in
I was just
a tomato sauce.
I was just
Tuna
saying
steak.
that it'll like I was just supporting your point, Patrick, where it was like it lets you look at the dynamic of different relationships.
Exactly. I agree wholeheartedly. Right.
You must be mistaken.
Your face isn't so scary once you get used to it. I do like that aspect of the relationship. How Taya was quite frightened of Odo at first.
It's funny because she's got like some kind of horns in her hair. Like,
Yeah, I was wondering. So like the dudes wear beads all over the place, and the women.
oh my god!
All over the place.
Yeah, for real.
Do the beads go all the way down?
It's like did they have to show their tits for all the beads? Like, where did they get all those beads
Yeah,
from?
I don't know. But the women all wore horns in their head.
Yeah.
Now I was wondering if for makeup for the people who like behind the scenes put those things in there, were those horns holding her hair up, or did they have to put in some special like devices to hold it up?
I think it was a
put-
wig. I almost guarantee that it was a wig. On the
Do you think there's a way? Because
lady.
it looked like those horns were meant to hold the hair up. Now the question is,
Yes.
could you make the hair hold up with those horns, or would you have to add something into the hair to hold the
Are
horns
you
up?
speaking in real life?
In
or
real
like-
life,
or
what
in
would
this
you
village?
do? Would
Maybe
the horns?
maybe all the horns are connected
the-
in a frame.
would-
In
would
real
the-
life, I think it's just a wig.
In the real life, would the horns hold the hair up? Would the hair hold the horns up? Where the horns hold the hair up, or the hair holds the
they're probably
horns
not
up.
real horns. They're probably rubber.
But in real life, it doesn't matter what they're made of. The point is like the things that they have these big spikes in their head.
In real life,
Like, haven't you ever seen girls like put pencils in their hair to hold their hair
right?
up?
Or chopsticks.
Yeah,
or
right.
Boys do that too. Dan, you're asking. What
I never saw a boy do that in high school. I'm not saying they don't.
Are we limiting these observations
No, we're
to
not.
high school?
No, we're not. We're not. I'm just saying, have you ever seen? That's the only time I've
I
ever.
mean, you've seen people outside of high school, right?
All I'm defending myself is I'm not saying like.
Have you seen people?
I'm saying like, haven't you ever seen a guy do it? And that's the only time I've ever
No.
seen it. I'm not saying that guys haven't done it. I'm just saying. I'm sorry if I'm on the brink of sounding
No.
like some kind of some like. Am I on the brink of sounding bad right now?
No, you're not. You're not. I was just going to.
I'm just stating what I have seen. I am not eliminating any possibility for what can be.
No, Dan, your feminist credentials are well in order. Do not worry. I meant to say that the question you're asking.
Everyone's so PC these days. God.
I meant. To
Oh
say,
wait, people don't say PC anymore.
It's like woke.
They say woke. See,
Yeah.
see, that shows what I know.
you're not caught up with. You can't even parody.
Yeah, I know.
The fools properly.
Right.
I know. You were asking a very philosophical question about the bones and the hair. Whether the hair,
Chicken or the egg, Will?
Yeah, wherever
the chicken or the egg.
Whether the
bones hold the
and
hair, the hair holds the
We've gone to
bones.
bones. You mean I mean horns.
Horns hold the
Or
hair, the
sticks.
hair holds the
Yes,
horns.
that's
Horn,
a
bone.
philosophical question,
Horn,
and as we've
bone.
discussed on many occasions, that falls outside of the purview of this particular podcast.
You must be mistaken.
No, no, I speak the truth on this matter.
Mm-hmm.
All right. A story. Dax and Odo have Gamma Quadrant Adventure.
When they first Dax and Odo get captured because they go down to this planet, right?
Sort of get they're not really captured. That's kind of the funny thing is like
Yeah.
Dax and Odo are like, no,
Because they're holograms.
yeah, we can leave anytime we
Holograms.
want.
That so when Odo disappeared off the here's something I'm not sure if this is
Beaming up
this is a
chair style?
This is a continuity issue. But yeah, when Odo beamed out, first of all, this is a side note. It was funny. The guy, Colia, started like looking around, like, where'd he go? Like, as Odo was still visible, he started like looking around, like, where'd he go? And it's like, he's still there, man. He's not gone yet. And then he looked around and he like looked around some more. He's like, oh my God, what the fuck? And then Dax was like, oh, he's coming back. It's cool. And then he comes back. He's like, whoa. But then later in the episode, Odo. There's this exchange. Odo says, I see. So have you scanned the area for signs of transporter activity? And Coleus says, it was the first thing I tried. So Coleus admits he knows what a transporter is, right?
Yeah.
So why was he so surprised when Odo transported away as if he'd never seen anything like that before?
I think it's one of the minor inconsistencies that pops up in this particular plot.
That also happened in the episode where the Ferengi, what was the Ferengi TNG we watched recently?
Oh, the battle.
The battle. When they Ferengi...
Not the buttle.
Not the butt. Scuttle Butties. What is it? Wasn't that on Bob's Burgles? Burgle Bob's Burger Hamburglar.
Borgles.
Scuttle Butties or
Bob
something.
Burger.
Wasn't there a line he goes
Scuttle Butties. Was that the New Zealand fella?
Yeah.
New Zealand. Just flating out all the veils to get to the New Zealand accent. Flating the veils.
But in that episode, the battle, the
battle.
the Ferengis all transported onto the ship, and they were all like, "What's going on?" And then they started all like being lizards and weird.
Yes.
Did you notice that? Okay, now this might be, I don't know if this is inappropriate to say, but it's not a comment on someone's appearance. It's more a comment.
This is great.
It's a comment
I'm
on.
so looking forward to the end of this sentence.
It's a comment on like the way that the makeup and stuff was done.
Okay.
Did Dax's hair look a little taller than it does usually in this episode?
Early Dax has a little puffy hair.
Yeah, it looked really tall.
It's sort of like that early 90s kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
Get them puffy.
Yeah, it was no big deal. I was
Puffy
just
hair bits.
noticing that it was taller than usual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, I have an issue with Paramount Plus now for not only have talked about the issue of the transfers that they made for these episodes.
They're not
are
very
kinda
good
shotgun,
episodes.
But
not very good transfers.
But the
yeah.
closed captioning is also inconsistent. In this episode, it was like way ahead of the dialogue. Like
that's
the captioning would disappear before the dialogue would occur, and so they dropped the ball kind of on this one with Paramount Plus. You got to do better,
effed.
man. Yeah. Anyway.
Effed.
Well, it's not an end of the world or anything.
I'm not sure if we'll be able to navigate back to the whatever point we may have.
Remember Willow?
started.
Speaking of wait,
O'Brien.
remember speaking of streaming services, you remember how Disney's doing Willow? Hey, remember that character?
Willow?
Willow movie called Mad Mardigan? That's kind of like the character in this guy, Rad Rurigan.
I don't think he's referred to as Rad
he's just-
Rurigan.
his
But it
first-
sounds like Mad Mardigan, so it's funny.
It does.
Chief O'Brien?
I have to disagree. I really just I don't.
You don't think it sounds-
Rurigan?
holo generator
He wishes he was.
Mardigan.
He wishes he was Mad Mardigan.
holograms.
Fuck yeah!
Now we're back on topic again.
Okay, great. I do like that they.
I see what you did there.
I like that they resolved the mystery like fairly quickly. It's a little over halfway through the episode, but the mystery is not the main point. And DS9 did this a lot, where they would do a Star Trek story where other Star Trek series might have had the mystery be like the whole thing, or in the case of Discovery or something, the whole season. But DS9 is like, nah, you know what's going on here. The drama is not that they're holograms. The drama is, how does Rurigan feel about them? It's making a point about sort of, maybe not a super coherent point, but a point about the nature of feelings and what makes something real or not.
Right.
It's interesting you bring up that, because we bring up that. It's interesting that you bring up that because we brought
it.
Last week we watched an episode, Voyager's When Two Becomes One, or
worst case scenario.
Oh, worst case scenario. Okay, worst case scenario.
Two becomes one.
Oh, that was 2 days and 2 nights on Enterprise. No, worst case scenario. One of the complaints that I had, and I think you guys didn't disagree, and I think you might have brought it up too, is the fact that the episode kind of jumped, like the actual, when I mentioned that the stakes got raised in the last 13 minutes of that episode.
Yeah.
And the episode, the last part had nothing to do with the beginning. It didn't take up, it wasn't the complaint was they should have put more focus on a singular activity. But in this episode, it's kind of the opposite is true. It's good that they didn't, like you were saying, they didn't need to put all the focus on the mystery,
simple sci-fi.
because they had a separate sort of singular focus of the episode.
Yeah, and the mystery was there to entice Odo. The mystery was there to entertain briefly, because it's a classic sci-fi scenario that allows you to ask a question that doesn't make sense in real life, but that can inform how you perceive and navigate real life. And that is the nature of your perceptions and feelings versus some sort of quote unquote elusive objective version of things. And in this case, they're saying that and by the way, Star Trek isn't always consistent on this point, but in this case, they're saying these holograms are as real as they need to be, and either they are going to help this nice old man before he dies, or they can live their own fun little lives, and they have the right to live their own lives. Either way, the main message of this episode was that they needn't bother trying to help Rurigan medically with their advanced medicine.
Yeah, that's
the main theme of this episode. That's the main takeaway I had, was that at no point, he just says, he was like, well, I'm dying.
Dying, right.
And Jadzia's, who is a renowned scientist, a prodigy, she's like, okay, I got you. We'll help you out with this business, but we're not going to give you any medicines.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
We'll reset your holo program. We're just going to reset it for you.
She also seemed like she was giving him like a dirty look when he's like, "Don't tell him that I'm not a hologram." Like Odo was like, "Yeah, no problem," and she was giving him a look like, "You shady motherfucker." Maybe that's why she didn't want to save him. Maybe she didn't want to heal him, because that's a good point. I didn't even think about that, but that's true. They should have found. Maybe he was dying of old age. Can they fix that in the future?
Well, yeah, to an extent.
Well, they can,
McCoy
because they
lived all extra withery.
And Picard had a golem.
Yes, well, that came much later.
And Scotty was stuck in the transporter janks for a while.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they should have put him in the transporter buffer.
They should have, would have, could have.
Should have, would have, could have. This kind of
stick him in the buffer, baby.
That's kind of reminded me of the episode.
Stick him in the buffer.
What's the one where Data goes to the planet with the
Thine own self,
the radioactive material?
Thine own self.
It's kind of like that.
We've
a little bit in
spoken about
terms
that.
of
a great episode.
Yeah,
We did
in terms of
that.
like making friends with locals. But
well, there's an Enterprise episode that's almost identical to this plot, which we'll have to cover, I think, in the near future.
Okay, how many Star Trek stories have there been about the sort of the idea that holograms not knowing that they're holograms, basically? There's been first, there's of course Insurrection, which is like they made a movie after the fact.
Not hologram. They don't think they're holograms. They're living in a holographic.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Different.
Oh, yeah, that's different. That is different.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a little. That's a play on it. It's a
this
spin on it.
Shadowplay is sort of the prototype, I think, for this.
But
Enterprise does almost the same story.
Yeah.
Ship in a Bottle, which, by the way, just a hint, we're going to ignore the algorithm this week, and we're going to talk about Ship in the Bottle next week.
We already decided.
Why is that? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Ship in the Bottle and Elementary Dear Data. There's some of that holograms figuring out their holograms or not knowing their holograms.
Yeah.
But in terms of a whole village or group of people or whatever,
This was the first.
I don't know. I don't know, but it's. I think so. Maybe you can make some arguments for some other stuff.
Because like the Voyager village got all complicated, but I don't think they ever realized.
Yeah, and that
they were
came later.
holograms.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that came after.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, but regardless, and it was we already talked about the touching bit with Odo and
The
honestly,
touching bit. That sounds horrible.
Touch my bit.
Okay, let me rephrase that. This episode, whatever the point of it is, clearly one of the things they were saying in this storyline was that at least the Starfleet characters or Dax and Odo are falling on the side of those things are real enough because you feel they're real. And part of what helps drive that point home is not a logical argument, it's an emotional one because it's the way it's filmed and acted and everything. When Taya finds her mom at the end, I'm tearing up.
Yeah, it's
so I'm like, okay, they're real.
So right,
because I'm like crying.
Okay,
over like they're doubly fake to me because I'm watching a television show about fake people.
Right. No, and I agree. The argument is they made this sort of similar argument in Star Trek before, like sort of like kind of around that. And I guess the argument against it you could make is the same reason when people look at a dog and say, "Oh, look, the dog's smiling." It's like, no, it's not smiling. You're just anthropomorphizing the dog.
Again, you're getting into philosophical areas which are outside of the purview.
And so,
this podcast.
Damn it.
No, you are literally asking one of the most complicated philosophical questions about how do you know that anybody, forget about the dog or the AI, that any other human is real, let alone a sentient being and not just
but you're kind
part
of
your
you're
brain,
kind
an
of
extension of your brain.
You're kind of taking it into the ultimate endpoint there. Like
That's some
I'm not,
kind of Kantian shit.
I'm not. I'm not talking about like the ultimate pure philosophical question of what is real. I'm just saying like it is sometimes it is argued that it is fallacy to think that something can relate to you simply because your body feels emotions towards it,
And my body feels all sorts of emotions.
And so like it's the same question of like when you think a dog is smiling and everyone's like and it's not smiling, it's just you're trying to make it a human when it's not. And so that's kind of like what's going on here a little bit. You could argue the other point you could argue about saying that, well, Taya is a kid, right? It was made up of her parents, so that makes her like, because you remember they were saying like Taya is like she's made up of her parents. You didn't program her, she just got created. You could make the same
Omicron parents.
You could make the same thing happen in like The Sims or something.
I was going to say that basically Rurigan was playing a mega game of SimCity or The Sims.
That girl was in some TNG, I believe. Was she? That same actor.
I will say that I was playing The Sims once, and I had these people.
Did you kill all the babies?
Yeah, it was
Did you
really
like block them from getting to the bathroom?
Yeah, it was really dark. Yeah. It was dark. I had Darth Maul, and Darth Maul had all these babies, and and I closed them off into a room and took all the doors away. And the worst part is the first thing they start crying a little bit, and then when they wet themselves and then start crying more, that's when you really feel like you've entered a new pit of like despair, and you start to question like if you're that good of a person.
You just make a fountain in the yard.
So what you're basically saying, Dan, I think what you've revealed to us is that your reticence to fully buy into the perception makes these people real thing is because then it makes you a terrible person for what you did to
I still feel I was like not sure that I was going to bring this up. I thought about it briefly and I was like, and I actually decided before the podcast because I was like, I'm not going to talk about the fact that I killed a bunch of babies in The Sims.
I think everyone did it.
When I said The Sims, when I said The Sims and one of you was like, did you make them go to the bathroom? Did you cut them off from the bathroom? Did you kill them all? And I was like, yeah, I did both. And it's when
I only did that by accident. I fixed it.
And I didn't. And so like I said,
sometimes it's hard to see how to configure
when they wet themselves, that's when I really felt bad. That's when it really got dark. And I started
that's when it really gets bad.
Something was really upsetting to me about that.
Hey, you know what makes things good? Takes things from good to bad.
We're not from
bad to good. It takes things from bad to good. That's right, Jesse.
When you take a break.
When you take a break.
When you do what?
When you take a break.
Take a break.
Don't worry, he'll be right back.
Well, thank you, Dax. Thank you. We will indeed be right back. Okay, we're back.
Holograms?
I hope I wasn't overexcited there. Oh yeah, I noticed, Dan, you have been you shot your wad early, so you haven't been playing a lot of recordings.
No, I've got other stuff. I just none of it really applies to what we're saying at the moment.
Well, how about this? Let's wrap up any thoughts on that A story with Odo and Dax. One
Bought
point.
you some Hariberry. Bought you some Hariberry.
Hariberry?
Bought you some Hariberry.
Is that like
Bought
a
you some
Haribo?
Bought you some Haribo.
Haribo gummy bears? Haribo? Are you talking about Haribo? Are you talking about Haribo gummy bears? The important kind. The kind that they made in Germany. They cost extra. But they have raspberry instead of just strawberry. They got the raspberry flavor.
Bought you some Hariberry. Bought you some Hariberry. Bought you some Hariberry. Bought you some Hariberry. Bought you some Hariberry.
I'm freaking out.
Wait, stop for a sec. Wait, I want to try something. Hold on.
Okay. All right.
You stop.
Hold on.
Bought you some Hariberry.
Okay.
Bought you some Hariberry.
Okay.
Bought you some Hariberry.
Got it.
Bought you some Hariberry. Bought you some Hariberry. Bought you some Hariberry.
Okay, I get what you're doing. You're doing one of these
Bought you some
Reggie Watt style mixes.
Bought you some Hariberry. 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 Bought you some Hariberry.
This may take a minute.
It did take approximately 1 minute, possibly slightly more.
Isn't that cool?
It's very cool, Dan.
Jesse, do you think that was cool?
Yes.
I'm not going to say it wasn't cool.
Balana's on it.
Balana's on it. You do, I forget who, was it, Unplanned Track? Somebody on Twitter was saying that we got to make a mix. Was it Open Pike? Now I can't remember. But somebody was saying we'd do a Balana's on it mix of.
Balana's on it.
For audience members,
That mean girl in engineering.
just tuning in.
Oh my god.
This was from last week's episode, and you can go listen to that to catch up with the whole Balana's on it business.
Balana's on it.
Balana's on it.
Balana's on it.
There you
Balana's
go.
on it.
Balana's on
Don't
it.
worry.
Balana's on it.
Don't worry.
You don't
Balana's
even
on
have
it.
to worry about it.
Don't worry.
What are you worried
It's
about?
going to
Balana's on
be
it.
fine because
Don't
Balana's
worry.
on it.
Balana's on it.
Balana's on it.
Don't worry. Balana's on it.
Bananarama.
Balana's on it.
Bananarama.
Balana's on it. Balana's on it.
Okay.
All right, good. All right, you good?
Toboggan.
How fascinating.
Oh, whoops, sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
Chief
Oh,
O'Brien.
shit. All my shit's all out of order now.
The very minor point
Chief O'Brien.
the very minor point I wanted to make was about Kenneth Mars, who played Coleus.
Kenneth Mars?
Kenneth Mars.
Oh,
That
you
guy
mean
was in Young
are you
Frankenstein.
mean
He
you
was-
mean Kenneth Toby?
No, Kenneth Toby was the other guy. Kenneth Mars.
Kenneth Mars?
Yes, Kenneth Mars.
Wait, was it Kenneth Mars?
Yes.
Yes, Kenneth Mars.
It wasn't Kenneth Toby?
No,
that
Kenneth
was the
Toby
other
was the
guy.
old guy. Kenneth Mars was the protector
The lesser
guy.
old guy.
You sure
And-
both their names were Kenneth?
Yes, and you might that can happen, Dan. It can happen.
You
Some
said- you
actors
used to
have
say
the
that your
same
name was
first
Ken.
name. Yes, you did. You used to go around telling people your name was Ken.
Oh yeah, I did for a while.
Okay, now
That was fun.
That's a whole other
But
story.
Kenneth Mars is probably most famous for playing Police Inspector Hans Wilhelm Friedrich Kemp in Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
He's the guy with the arm that's all goofy
Totally.
and plays darts and stuff. He's really funny in that. And he was also Otto Mankusser, which I think means man kisser, on Malcolm in the Middle. And he played,
really?
Yeah. And,
Yeah, that was that guy, right?
and he played King Triton in The Little Mermaid. This is all per Memory Alpha. So if
Word.
there's anything incorrect about that,
And he was in the producers.
you can rattle your protest chains at the jackals at Memory Alpha.
I didn't want her to get hurt.
Yes, he did not want her to get hurt.
I didn't want her to get hurt.
Hologram.
Hologram.
And
Okay.
sometimes I even forgot that they were holograms.
Yes. So that's
I didn't even know. I always thought it was holograms.
yes, it is. It is holograms. These people are
But
pronouncing
this guy
it.
thought it was holograms.
This guy's crazy. But
Yeah, I
both of
thought
them were doing
Rugen
it. Both
was-
Coleus and Ruger and Rugrat was they were both saying hologram.
They were both I like both the actors too. When Coleus
Coleus is all like goofy.
yeah, when he first quote unquote captures them and they're basically like Odo zips away and he comes back and like you can come to our station and check it out. He like looks so defeated afterward. He's like,
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna get you guys.
Hoping you guys
I
were the
know.
ones. I was hoping you guys were the ones murdering all
really
our
wanted to
people.
get you.
God. Whoops.
And he also immediately accepts their story and
Yeah.
introduces Odo. He's like, "Oh, Odo's a police officer.
Right.
He's a
Yeah.
law enforcement. He's going to help
That was
us."
my favorite cloak.
Yeah, that was good. Too.
That was my favorite cloak.
Oh, my favorite cloak. Okay, let's move along. let's move along home from the A story. And let's go. I don't know what we're calling this, but let's talk about Jake Sisko. Jake Sisko. Guy he's on a space station. He's a kid on a space station. He's 15 years old.
O'Brien?
His dad wants him to get some good stuff for
Maybe
his
Jake
resume.
doesn't want to be in Starfleet.
Yes.
I don't want to be a pirate.
This
But I don't know anything about engineering.
Exactly.
this story again is so simple and it's nothing new at all, but it's so very
It's classic Jake.
compellingly told and acted, and I think it has arguably a twist to the trope, because the trope here is the usually father, we'll just say father and son. This is a father and son thing traditionally, although I think certainly you could apply it to other people. But that the father wants the son and assumes the son will follow in his footsteps in whatever his career is or the family trade or whatever. And that the son wants to break free and says, no, I want to do something else. And that the father is angry and disappointed. But the twist here is that Ben Sisko is a fucking awesome dad. He's not just a good dad. He's a fucking awesome dad because he does not hesitate for a moment. Right? He doesn't hesitate for a moment.
Not like O'Brien's dad.
He did make a mistake in assuming
I was
that
just
Jake was going to join Starfleet.
That was the only thing, is I expected him to be more upset because he assumed that Jake was going to be in Starfleet and he didn't ask. So you'd think he would be a little bit more reticent to.
I want to note something here, and I think this is just a heads up for everybody. We do occasionally have good points to make here and not just tomfoolery. And I think this is one of those points that we're going to make a good point here, an especially good point. Granted, I am mildly biased because it is the point that I have arrived at and that I'm going to be conveying. So take that. That's sort of a...
Are you sure you're all right?
No, dude, I'm not at all sure. But okay, I'll
You
get
seem to be in a great deal of pain.
I'm feeling pretty good, actually.
I find that very peculiar.
I had some of this Virginia bourbon that was gifted to me over the holidays. Okay, so I will now make this point. And the point is that in this conversation, I know we're jumping ahead a little bit, but this is the meat of this storyline, is when Jake says to his dad, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I love that part. That was great.
That
was my favorite line.
Yada yada.
No, here's the line that I think is a fascinating, very well written, complicated line.
Was it this one?
These are all isolinear rods.
Yes. Actually, I really like that because I was like, oh, so the white ones are for engineering?
Right, yeah.
The red ones are for data storage?
Yeah, they said...
And I want to know what the blue ones were for!
Yeah, they said data relating to engineering and system controls.
Yes.
So not the controls themselves, they were relating to system controls. The red were library and information. I saw 5 sets of rods from left to right. There was a set of 2, 3, a 2, and a 2. Were there different colored labels? I only saw one colored labels. Were there blue labels?
I saw white and red. I'm not 100% sure about blue, but again...
But there was different... The implication was there was more than...
It's an SD signal. That, for kids, that's standard definition. We grew up having to endure standard definition. We didn't have...
But it implied that... Because there was 5 sets of rods...
4,000K bullshit.
But since there were five sets of rods, it
lines.
implied that there were 5 colors of rods.
Wow.
But anyways... But so you're saying the great line...
Said rod.
The line
Yeah, I
in
did.
question, and it's the line reading that I think was done very well by Sirach Lofton.
Sure.
But the line in particular is
O'Brien.
where Jake says, Starfleet is too much. Like you, I need to find what's me. Now, the reason why this is interesting, why this line is complex, is you can break this line down into Starfleet is too much. That's one reason I
Right.
don't want to do Starfleet.
It's just too much shit.
Starfleet's too much. Another way to interpret is Starfleet is too much like you.
Yeah, it's like
I don't want to be like you
Right.
in that way.
It's
'cause
like when he
Starfleet
thinks
is
of
too much like you.
When he thinks of Starfleet, he thinks of like his dad. That's like it's like they share the same. There's the same being almost or something.
But then you can further look at that line and just look at the chunk that says, so previously it was Starfleet is too much like you, but you can also look at like you, I need to find what's me.
Oh man, Comma City.
And then furthermore, you could just say, I need to find what's me. So that you can break this line out into multiple different ways. And in particular, I like that part where it says, quote, like you, I need to find what's me, because Jake is stating in that moment, he's stating that he is following in his father's footsteps, because you know what Ben's father did? He was a chef in New Orleans.
He's cutting up okra all the
He's
time.
following his father's footsteps by doing what's true to himself, right? or trying to stay true to himself and not to what other people are saying. And so I think this is a very interesting, nuanced, complex thing in a very simple story. But part of what makes it work is that line.
It was an interesting line at the end. It was kind of hard to figure out how to interpret it. And
It took me hours.
It took you. You should write a paper on it.
I did.
Oh wow.
Yes.
The paper became the podcast.
It'll be published in Star Trek Monthly.
When the paper becomes the paper becomes the podcast.
Paper becomes the podcast.
Paper becomes the podcast.
When the paper becomes the podcast.
When the paper, the penitent man. It's interesting. Speaking of fathers wanting their sons to do things, it was interesting that they picked O'Brien as being a cello player.
The
But
Aldebaran Music Academy.
because
Yeah,
O'Brien,
right.
because O'Brien was seen playing cello on TNG.
Was he?
Yes, and it was never explained. There's just like every now and then.
That's funny, I don't
was
remember
playing.
that.
He was in. Usually, like when Data was, is like occasionally they have to have like a string quartet, and so you need other people there. And so O'Brien was one of the. He would be playing the cello.
There's that one where they're gonna like have a string quartet, and then they end up playing like the Brahms like string sextet.
It is interesting.
That ruined.
It ruined it for me. It totally ruined it.
They're like they're missing
That's
two
a
parts.
sextet.
So
And they said it was Mozart. It was Brahms.
they fucked it all up. So I felt a little guilty because immediately I was like, O'Brien, that's interesting for him to be playing cello. And I realized I was stereotyping O'Brien because he's sort of presented.
Thought he was a.
He's
You
presented.
thought he was a trombone player.
He seems more like a trombone player, honestly.
And that's coming from Dan himself as a trombone.
I'm a
player.
trombone player.
Not Jesse though.
We doxed
He just
you.
seems more like a you just doxed me. So I don't know. He's they present him as a working class kind of guy, and it's wrong of me to assume that working class people don't play cello, and that's why I felt guilty because I was like, why are you making these assumptions about like what people do with their time?
Right, he's not an officer.
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, he's working class.
Oh,
Jesse is of course referencing
He works for a living.
the traditional, hopefully less relevant these days, but back in the olden days, the officer class were the upper class elites, and the cannon fodder and the operations folks.
Yeah.
They were from the hard scrabble, digging around in the gravel. In England, the people who just dig in the gravel,
or the middle classes.
Yeah, the middle classes sell the gravel.
mm-hmm.
The lower classes dig around in the gravel.
Mm-hmm.
This is how capitalism works.
That's how it works, baby.
The middle classes sell the gravel to each other.
Yes.
But the rich people get 90% of each transaction somehow.
They get to have the butter.
In the future, I like that.
They butter their gravel.
You got to butter your
It
gravel,
wasn't that
baby.
great. We got better food these days
yeah.
than King Henry VIII.
Yeah.
Down to McDonald's, man. King Henry VIII would be shitting his pants.
I know, right?
Was that a cough? Was that a digital cough that you just played there? What
I
was
find that very peculiar.
That was supposed to be Cisco laughing, but it didn't really come out too well. He was talking about you like O'Brien, don't you? O'Brien, don't you? In the future, though, we know that blue collar workers are people that can code complex computer systems.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think O'Brien definitely looks more like a horn player than.
It's just funny
Good player.
to think of the real sort of stereotypes, the working class stereotypes that are applied to O'Brien in TNG, but especially in DS9 to his characterization. It is funny to imagine that in the context of a society that is presumably,
Right, beyond all
that class distinction. I think you could, the writing reason is for dramatic reasons and for reasons of being able to identify with the audience members and identify certain tropes. That's why you have a character who is described in the way that O'Brien is described. However, you could also take it further and say, actually, no, they're showing the persistence of class divisions even in a society that has no one wants for resources or anything like that. You have unlimited resources, unlimited whatever, and there should be no such thing as class. But you could argue maybe the class persists even into the 24th century.
It's probably more stereotypical for an Irish person to play like a violin.
Yeah, like
The fiddle. Like
yeah,
fiddle.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah, you just don't associate like with TV
or a flute,
with
but not a cello.
with
That's more it's more progressive.
with the TV tropes of the kind of qualities that O'Brien had. You don't associate cello player with that.
Yeah,
I don't know what you associate cello player with, honestly.
not really. No.
Yeah, it's like what do you associate cello
some
players
sort
with?
of
I played the cello.
some sort of dweeb.
Yeah, some kind of. I have a family.
I just like the.
I come from a family of. I come
Between
from
your legs.
I come from a family of cello
Oh
players.
yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah,
I come up from a family of a cello player.
not your family.
And I'm not saying that cello is like a highfalutin instrument or anything.
No,
I'm
it's
just
a very
saying, like,
nice instrument.
It is,
actually.
yeah. I'm not saying
You got to
it's-
pay for all that extra wood.
I just don't know what like it means when I'm thinking like classes associated with what instrument you play. It's meaningless. I don't even know why I had those
it's an
preconceptions.
artificial.
I don't know why I
yes.
had those preconceptions in my head, and that's why I felt guilty
Because-
about it when I
because
know-
of capitalism.
We grew up in a horrible.
Because of capitalism.
Horrible. Not a horrible world. I shouldn't exaggerate. It's horrible for a lot of people. We're white people, so it's much less
Grew up
horrible
in the
for us.
20th century.
Well, like I said, the thought popped in my head. I immediately recognized it as like, whoa, man, you slow your roll here. What do you think? Who do you think plays cello? Everyone plays the cello. It's a wonderful
My
instrument.
mom plays cello.
Anyways, that's enough of me feeling
My brother
guilty.
plays cello.
And come to my basement, got some popsicles.
Anything else about the Jake thing? It's again a very small part of this episode, but I thought a fun one, not directly really related to any of the other.
I really
stories.
like how O'Brien talked to Jake, like gave Jake the
Straight up.
the
O'Brien's-
business,
yeah.
straight up,
Yeah.
and told him what the deal was, and like it's like yeah.
And every time O'Brien reveals something about his family, it's always charming.
Yeah, it's cool that Jake was all like, Chief O'Brien, oh my God. And then like it turns out O'Brien was like exactly the kind of medicine he needed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a good man.
he's the best guy in Starfleet.
Mhm.
Best person ever in Star Trek.
Ever.
Mhm.
All right. So, shall we move along to Kira and Quark and Barile?
I
So-
despise you.
Yes.
Spring ball.
Spring ball. Yes.
You make it sound like you don't like me.
I despise you.
Whoa.
Sorry, I mentioned it.
So these you could almost break this down into two different storylines. When I'm first watching the episode, when I'm first watching the episode, now granted I'd seen this episode many times before, and I have fond memories of this episode. I should have mentioned that.
Fond. You have
at the time.
fond
I have
memories.
of
Fond
the episode.
memories.
Ever since I was a 14-year-old boy, I remember this episode fondly because I remember the thing about the holograms, but I forgot all about the Kira and Barile stuff in the spring ball, and the holograms. I do remember less about that particular side story. This business with Kira. But okay, so initially the story is like, okay, Kira is fucking around with Quark. She wants to nab Quark because she knows Quark is up to something.
Because his brother Kono has been stealing
Cousin.
So that's
There's-
like
his cousin.
Yes, his
Kono.
cousin. So that's storyline number 1. It could be the C story, and then the D story is Barile shows up on the station, and they haven't gotten together yet. This is where they're starting to get together. Okay,
Yeah,
but then it turns out, oh no, it's actually one story, but you don't find out until the end. And I thought that was a fun little
That was fun.
little twist that I had totally forgotten about.
Yeah, I was confused, like, as to how Quark knew that Barile would be distracting to Kira if they had never gotten together prior to this episode. Like, that's quite of an assumption to make, to be like, oh, I'll bring Barile over and they will work out for whatever reason.
I think Quark from previous episodes knew enough to know that Kira had a certain fascination with Barile. And Quark may have just looked at Barile and been like,
This guy.
But it was a pretty smart move. Like, there's a lot of leaps there, but it was a pretty
not smart enough.
But it's surprising it got as far as it did, because he was able to at least
Almost
not be
worked.
caught. At least he wasn't
well,
caught.
Quark is a clever motherfucker.
He is.
He's
He is.
smart. He knows how to manipulate people.
So, Barile and Kira are talking about, like, he's like given like the 8th prophecy. They're talking about like the 8th prophecy of the
which I'm not familiar with off the top of my head.
The 8th prophecy is gosh, it's I had it here.
What a tedious religion.
Yeah, I would not be a practicing follower
Yeah,
of the Bajoran religion.
it
Certainly
doesn't-
not in an orthodox way. I think they seem like nice folks, though.
Totally.
Yeah, I don't know if they say anywhere what the prophecies actually are.
Oh, I thought you implied that you had written
I
it down
thought-
in your notes. You had looked it up.
I did look it up.
Written it down in your notes, and now you've lost it.
No, I looked up the 8th prophecy on Memory Alpha, and all it does is reference this episode, how Kira thinks that he misinterpreted.
That's
Well,
funny.
there you go. It's
Right.
just something they're saying, and it's not a big deal. Sometimes they don't.
Brilliant. Insightful.
Yes,
Brilliant.
I'm saying that I'm finding myself in the Bareil situation
Insightful.
on a daily basis,
Infuriating.
having to explain to people how I'm being insightful. Oh, by the way,
Yeah,
I firmly believe that you can be insightful and infuriating at the same time.
Yeah,
Nothing
usually-
wrong with that.
No, well, I'd say there's nothing wrong with it, but it's true. You can.
I
yes.
think here's what I think is true. I think it's say like with our audience, for example, we have this nice audience that listens to us week in, week out. It's crazy, right? They're enjoying
It's
us.
crazy.
It's completely nuts, but we enjoy that. Now, I don't mind aggravating the audience a little bit just for a little fun. Just a little needling, a little poking there. I don't want to alienate the audience. Though.
Right.
That's what I don't want to do. I just want to maybe, just like poke the needles in just a little bit.
I like how Bareil was proudly stating that like what he was doing was very brilliant and insightful, because that is what people who are brilliant and insightful do, is
Yes.
talk about how brilliant and insightful they are.
And
So
that's what I was just saying.
yeah, I know, and that's why I was trying to follow up on that, and then you like veered off course, and then I came back to what you were saying, but you forgot that I was segueing from what you said to what I say, and then you accused me of something that I'm not guilty of.
I don't think I accused you of anything. I think you're tossing that in there just in case. That was that's a just in case
No,
situation.
I was following up. It's your fault.
Okay.
Infuriating.
So you had one of those like awful sort of like scenes where people are like kissing and talking at the same
Okay.
time, and it's something they don't do anymore in TV. I don't see, but they used to do
Okay,
that
so
back
this-
in the day.
so this is-
Where it's
this
all
is-
like,
and you hear,
So
there's
what
all these
Quark-
horrible sounds.
So okay, so remember what I talked earlier about the not safe for work ASMR?
let's rub our
Yes,
nose ridges
yes.
together.
So this is going to
Nose
be
ridge.
this is me. I took that scene and I cut out all the talking and just had the sounds for that scene.
Okay, so, are we? Is this a warning to the audience?
Warning to the audience. There's
This
going
is
to be-
the ASMR.
Put your
squishing,
headphones
squishiness.
on.
Yeah, this is this
All
kissy
right.
scene from DS9.
All right.
In 3, 2, 1.
What if you're trying to eat while you're watching this show?
Yeah. These are all the things I cut out of the podcast on a regular basis.
I know, exactly. Yeah.
Right. Let's do it one more time.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Infuriating.
It was
Well,
really gross to watch.
It was.
Like that's the kind of thing I remember being in like sixth grade and being like, "Ew, kissy face," and
I
I'm
know,
still like,
yeah.
I'm still like, "Ew,
I'm
kissy
uncomfortable
face."
watching this.
Because it's just all the noises are so disgusting. It's
Yeah.
like watching them just like suck face while they're trying to talk and like all the.
I know, it's just get your penis out already.
I know.
well, I'm sure he.
You follow spring ball?
I'm sure he thought that once she ran off, and he was like, "God damn it!"
Oh yeah, right. So she has. This is presumably the first time she made out with like Bareil.
Yes.
And so she is way too obsessed. Quark is winning in that she is way too obsessed with. She's way too obsessed with Quark that it's ruining her very first romantic moment with this guy.
It appears that way, but then it turns out not really, because he was horny enough to wait.
Well, yeah, he was horny enough to wait, but at the
As
same
it happens.
but at the same time, it is still kind of like an intense mood killer. And it's like the first time you make out with somebody is so exciting and special. And if all you can think about is your job and the guy you're trying to arrest, who's dominating
to be
your
fair,
life.
I mean, I get what you're saying, and I agree. It's a little awkward.
I would be like, whether I was Kira or Bareil, either case, I'd be like, God damn it, fucking Quark.
Yeah.
But it's also her job too. She's
got to get the guy,
But
and
she's
she
obsessed
guessed
with her job,
correctly
yeah.
that the guy was going to try to pull the move while
Yeah.
she was making out and
Right.
getting banged. And so she
Yeah.
was like, "I can get banged
get banged out.
later."
Isn't that gross? Banged
It
out.
is. It is not a phrase that I enjoy. The banged out.
Yeah.
Even getting banged is a little bit too passive, I think, for modern colloquialism.
It's problematic.
Getting banged out I mean, certainly not from the male perspective. It's not something we should be.
Banged out? Like, what does that even mean? Like, what happens? It means you're done?
The more
That's it?
romantic, progressive way.
You've been
is just
banged
like,
out. You're
we
done.
are engaging in coitus.
I was watching some show on Hulu.
Consensual coitus.
I think it's
Coitus.
British, but it's about. I think it's called.
I think it's British.
It's called like Extraordinary or something. It's,
Extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
That would be extraordinary.
Extraordinary. It's quite extraordinary. This television program is quite extraordinary. Oh, my God.
Indubitably.
It's okay. It is on BBC One. Reruns on BBC Two.
You seem to be in a great deal of pain.
I am sometimes. Yes,
Are you sure you're all right?
I am not sure.
So this show,
Which show?
Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Extraordinary. It's about. It's the point of the show. It's not even that important, but it's about. It's this little. It's a comedic show.
The show Extraordinary.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Extraordinary.
Gobbled him up. Gobbled him up.
Okay, continue. There's a television program called Extraordinary.
And let you gobble me up? I don't think so.
Yes.
So everybody has a superpower, and the main character doesn't. And then
yes, I've heard of this. I have not seen this television program, but I've heard of it. I heard of it on the Empire podcast.
So the point that I'm getting at is a very small point that almost has nothing to do with the
Empire
show.
Strikes Back.
Those are the best kind of points.
That almost has nothing. Yeah, look at your
We're
watch.
famous for
Look
them.
at your watch to make sure we're on time as you continuously interrupt. What I'm
No,
trying
my
to
watch
say.
doesn't have the time. That's that time.
Okay.
I was looking at my watch at
one point they were talking about like giving a woman oral sex, and I think they used the term lick them out or something. It was like he licked me out or something. I think that's what they said. So I think like
I could see how
Did
that
you
would
check
work.
Did you check the captioning?
I did.
I'm not familiar with that colloquialism either in American or British phraseology.
I'm not either, but I swear to God they said licked out.
Okay.
But here they use different words.
Now I get what you're saying when you said that this has very little to do with the
which is why
Star
I was
Trek
just,
episode.
Well, no, it has nothing to do with the show Extraordinary. It has to do with the Star Trek episode because we were talking about banged out, and I was made me think of licked out.
Okay.
That would have been you would have made that connection once again for the second time in this episode. You would have made the connection had you let me finish my thought without all the craziness.
Sort of like the rainbow connection.
The rainbow connection?
Yeah, rainbow connection.
Someday they'll find it.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Rainbow correct?
But not yet.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Not yet.
You don't know about the okay. Well, we're not going to start into that right now.
No.
If you don't know about the rainbow connection.
So Quark, but the whole Pry Larit thing, I guess Quark then, what's implied is that Quark lured Pry Larit over to get Burrell to visit. And so I guess the reason Pry Larit came over is because Quark was going to like forgive some of his gambling dets or something. I guess that was like, because they were saying Pry Larit likes to gamble. So why did he come
this guy likes to gamble.
on Quark's request? I guess it's because he was going to like take care of some of his gambling debts.
Dabo.
You know what we should take care of now?
A second break.
A second break. Next break. It's time.
Don't worry, he'll be right back.
Okay, thank you. and yes, Dax, we will be right back. Are we back?
We don't get that many visitors.
Well, we don't get that many.
I like that line too.
Hold
No,
on.
we don't like that.
We don't have that many. What else? We talked about the spring ball. Oh, the Kira asking Bashir. I did mention that briefly, but the point about that was it was funny, but it was a one-off because it didn't go anywhere.
No,
Yeah, right,
Bashir
right.
wasn't mentioned again in the entire episode.
Oh, the only thing I got from it was that it's another example of how Bashir likes to play spy. Like that's basically what it was like. Oh, Bashir loves to play spy. Now, do you think that's he likes to play spy because he's been friends with Garrick, or do you think that's partly what attracts him to Garrick is that Garrick is a spy?
I think the latter, probably
Yeah.
more so. You get the impression that he's had a long-standing interest in espionage from various angles. Of course, as Deep Space Nine goes on, not to get into too many spoilers, of course, but he gets more involved in the real world of spycraft in some ways.
Spycraft.
And in some ways,
Spy report.
likes it, in some ways doesn't. And it's sort of like a lot of things, things don't turn out to be exactly the way you think they are. Yeah. Jesse's just crossing out some notes over there.
Bone
I'm sketching.
I keep forgetting. I want to get some papers. I want to get like a sheaf of papers so I can crinkle them
A skein?
and tap them.
A skein of papers?
I think a sheaf.
Sheaf?
A sheaf of like 10 papers that I can
leaves?
I can tap up and down and makes that like paper sound that I can't simulate because I don't have papers. You can do it. No, that's a
The little
fucking
troll who runs the Dabo tables?
That's a notebook.
Bone carvings.
Bone carvings?
Bone carvings.
Bone carvings from Cardassia 5.
The little troll who runs the Dabo tables?
Yes.
Sorry I mentioned it.
Dabo.
You make it sound like you don't like me.
I despise you.
She despises you.
Infuriating.
Brilliant. Insightful. Oh, it's brilliant. Insightful.
Infuriating. You follow Spring Ball?
Okay, that's all we have to say about Kira and Burrell, right?
Pretty much, I think so. I do know that a lot of people don't like Bareil, or they didn't buy into Bareil and Kira as a romance. And I having seen all those episodes, I get where people are coming from. He was sometimes a little more dry and passive than you might expect Kira to be into, but he was pretty charming and frisky in this episode.
I couldn't tell when Kira got the news that he visited. At first, I thought she was going to make some kind of reaction, like Kira, Vedic Bareil's here. I thought because she made this look on her face, like she was waiting to hear like some kind of thing that suddenly she was going to be all like, like if it was like, what's the evil woman?
Kai Wynn.
If it was Kai Wynn, if she had that face at first while they were like, Kira, you've got a visitor, and she would have this like anticipated look on her face, and then she says Kai Wynn, then she'd be like, but they didn't. She didn't make it.
She would have been Vedic Wynn at this point.
Okay, Vedic Wynn.
It's not Vedic Wynn.
Well, you win. You win. You're right.
I think so.
Yeah, I would have never gotten that.
Nobody wins with
smart.
Vedic Wynn.
I mean, Kaiopaka left in the first season. I forget.
But with Vedic Bareil, I expected her to make some kind of reaction, but there was no reaction. She was just kind of like, oh, okay.
So the background here, as best as I can cobble together from my rapidly deteriorating memory, is that Kira, part of her attraction to Vedic Bareil is that he is sort of a famous
bone carvings.
Guy, important guy in the terms.
Is it Bareil or is it Bareil?
It's Bareil.
Bareil.
In terms of the whole Cardassian resistance to the Cardassians,
call the whole thing off.
Bareil is a important character. Now she ends up dating another guy, similar stuff later on.
Kira gets around, man.
but with Bareil, part of her reticence is that she almost reveres him, and that it's kind of like if you meet like the Hollywood star that you had a poster of or something, you don't imagine getting into a relationship with them, kind of thing. I think there's a little bit of that going on.
It's the headband.
Yeah. It is
that's how you get them Vedics.
Yes, the spring ball headband.
You wear your spring ball headband.
Yeah. But yes, anyway, that just the whole Vedic Bareil thing kind of it's an up and down storyline before he sort of exits, and then she connects with the Shakar, and then of course
he was a good conversationalist. He was going through all these different subjects to like talk about. He's like the Ilvian caterpod crop, the nature preserve in Hydric Spool province.
Yes.
Then he said maybe the standings in the Spring Ball Championship. That's when she was like, "Bloobada boobada."
He was like, "Let's go play right now."
You're right. Yeah, like that guy's.
I'm smooth.
He is pretty smooth.
In this episode, he's particularly smooth. I think in some other episodes, he's maybe a little bit more floppy and wet. But in this episode, he's
a little floppy and wet.
Yeah, isn't that a phrase?
I don't know if that's
smooth and hard.
Floppy and wet. When you're all like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm sort of floppy and wet today, but tomorrow I'll be all like dry and
sleek."
Firm.
I don't know if that's how it
Firm
goes.
and
turgid.
Turgid.
Mm-hmm. Churlish.
Torrid.
Churlish.
Torridly turgid. But yes, otherwise I don't have much else to say about that. How about you, Dan or Jesse? Anything else to say about Kira or Bareil or Quark?
Let's see.
Gamma quadrant? More like Bama quadrant.
Oh, shit.
You've been waiting to say that.
Yes.
You could say that for like almost any episode of DS9.
Yes.
In fact, it would barely be more appropriate to say it in the context of like they come across some Jemadar or something. I know. Or some or the Karema or whatever. I think it was
well,
the
maybe I'll say it again.
All right.
I'll use it later.
Keep that in your back pocket.
There's so many more episodes to speak about.
That's correct.
We'll have Star Trek.
All right. Dan is furiously scanning through his notes to see if he has any additional points about this storyline. We can also
Why are you trying to like call me out?
I'm just filling. I'm vamping.
You're vamping.
Filling dead air.
Oh yeah, we don't want dead air.
You can't do that on a podcast, even though you can edit it out.
You can edit it out.
You can edit it out, but you can't have the dead air.
But you can't edit it out.
No.
So Kira is a fundamentalist because she's against his interpretation of the eighth prophecy.
Okay. So I think
I don't even know about
I think you're being a bit aggressive there. I wouldn't label her automatically as a fundamentalist.
Well, she didn't. She even said herself. She didn't just disagree with her speech. She said she was like, I super duper disagree.
I think that it's tricky with the term fundamentalist because I think there are certain connotations that go along with it that go beyond merely preferring an accepted originalist interpretation of a particular religious text.
Isn't there an episode where Kira has trouble with her faith?
Oh, yes.
Well, everyone always
I think
has.
we've actually talked
There's always a
about
TV
that.
show where someone has
I think
trouble
more
with
to
their
the
faith.
point is that if she were truly a fundamentalist, part and parcel of that would be that she would not be interested in hanging out with Belial. She would be angry at him. She wouldn't be turned on by this intellectual battle they were having. I think that's what's going on here is she has her sincerely held beliefs, he has his, but they are able to
He's got that super dangly earring.
he's got that big old dick.
I don't know anything about that. Whoa.
But yes.
I can't speak to that at all, but I have seen the dangly earring.
Yeah. I would argue that Kira adheres closely to a particular interpretation of her faith, but I don't think I'd call her a fundamentalist.
She was at the Singa refugee camp, and he was at the Reliketh.
Yes, and when he said that, she got all extra.
She got all serious.
Quiet. Yeah,
That was weird.
I think it was meant to be an equivalent of saying,
He was in white collar prison.
Or the opposite. I would think he was the equivalent of saying that he was in Auschwitz or something.
Oh, really?
Versus some of the other.
I thought she had it harder.
I think he went through some shit.
Yeah.
Shit.
I think that's all there is to say about Kira and Belial.
All right. Any other odds and ends?
Well, we could go a little bit more, I guess, about Odo and Odo. When Rad Rurigan, when he was saying I guarantee you there are no
guarantee.
When Odo was like, are there people?
I'll tell you what I did.
When Odo was like, did you try looking outside of the town? And Rurigan was like, I guarantee you there are no missing people out there. And Odo's like, you sure that? He's like, absolutely. Didn't you think that was a little, as the kids say, sus? Kids say that, right?
Well, it's a hologram.
Seuss? Do they pronounce it Seuss?
When I was a kid, we said on the nose.
Did they say, is it sus or Seuss?
It's sus.
It's not Seuss?
No, Seuss is sweet in German.
Oh, isn't sus from that Among Us game? That game that people...
It is.
Yeah.
At least partially.
Yeah.
Fungus Among Us.
They were talking about what's Science Friday today? They were talking about
Science Friday with Ira Flata?
Yeah, except there was there was. It was with him. And
Jesse perked right up at that.
Yeah. They were talking about The Last of Us, and they had a mycologist on.
Word.
And
did they have Paul Stamets on?
No, they didn't have.
He's the ultimate mycologist.
They weren't talking about mycelial networks. They were talking about
No, the real Paul Stamets.
What?
Yeah, the real Paul Stamets.
There's a
deals
real
with
Paul
mycelial
Stamets.
networks.
Oh, really? Is there really a
Yes, who by all accounts, apparently he got into mushrooms because in college once he was kind of a shy guy, not from the Super Mario Brothers,
No,
but
not that kind.
a real life shy guy, and he just got a bunch of mushrooms and he didn't know how much he was supposed to eat because he'd never eaten them before. So I heard this on the Penn Jillette podcast. So he ate just like an entire bag of them.
I saw a documentary film.
He didn't know what the dose was, and as a result, he climbed up into a tree, and it happened to be there was a giant storm going on, and so he just hung out in this tree, tripping on mushrooms, looking at this storm flow over him, and he said it changed his fucking life.
Yeah.
And one thing is he had a stutter before, and then when he came down out of the tree, he didn't have the stutter anymore when he came to talking to people he liked.
It fixes your brain.
So anyway, there's a real Paul Stamets, and Stamets on
do.
Discovery is named after real Paul Stamets.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. So I'm only semi-ignorant.
No, you're not ignorant at all.
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know there's a real Paul Stamets. I didn't know it was named. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Are you sure the Stamets was named after him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Anyways,
So Ira Flato was talking about,
and so they were
Science Friday with
They're
Ira
talking about
Flato.
the Last of Us, and they had a mycologist on. She kept saying fungi, so apparently the real pronunciation is fungi.
I don't know if
it's
that's
not a
the
real pronunciation; it
real
is an accepted pronunciation.
Well, there are real
Languages.
pronunciations.
Yes,
Okay, don't lecture
yes,
me on language.
yes,
I
for
know what
some
you're gonna.
words.
I know what you're gonna fucking say.
Other
and you're gonna
words.
treat me like you taught me something, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm teaching you something.
You're not teaching me a goddamn thing. I know what you're saying.
I don't think Dan knows about it.
It's actually not. It's a blah blah blah. It's like fine, okay.
Language
Let's be fucking pedantic all night.
Language is evolving. It is absorptive.
God,
it
I
is
know. This is
flavorful.
so tedious right now. You don't understand how tedious this is. For me.
Doctors,
What that really is, it's how you pronounce your G.
It's Patrick's going, well, Dan, actually, that's interesting that you believe that, Dan, but let me teach you the truth. Because
we can all learn the point together.
It's understandable what you think, and I think it's cute and adorable that you think that.
I honestly didn't think it was that cute. I was a little disgusted. Little disgusted.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But they said that she was saying that The Last of Us, obviously there's probably not going to be some kind of zombie situation, but she was saying that some of the points they made were like how it's hard to get rid of fungus.
Yeah,
and
it's a good extrapolation.
And how fungus can fuck up some shit if it needed to or something.
Oh,
basically.
yeah.
So yeah.
It'll fuck your shit right up.
Yeah, and she said she was really into like their depiction of like the fungal, even though they mixed up different,
names.
No, the
species.
Yeah, the species like image. When they created the fungus imagery, they would like mix together different species. She was like they kind of mixed together some different stuff. But
I always find it a little perplexing.
But she was like, but she was saying she loved like the imagery. She thought it was great, like really beautifully and well done, like imagery of fungus that they did in the show.
It can be. It is sometimes aggravating in media, although I understand why they do it. Like for example, the Velociraptor. Mm-hmm. Right. They in the movie they're 6 foot tall monstrous dinosaurs when the actual Velociraptor was like, I don't know, 2 feet tall or 3 feet tall.
Yeah.
But there were dinosaurs that they're like, what is it? Deonocliosaurus or whatever. But anyway, there is a dinosaur that's 6 foot tall and is a monster just like in the movies, but it's just got a different name.
Yeah,
and the name isn't as cool because it doesn't have velocity in it.
Yeah, right. And it does have that extra big claw too.
Yes, it's a real thing. It's just they use the different name.
I don't know if it's the Allosaurus or if that's...
No. The Allosaurus
is that bigger?
Yeah, it starts with a D.
Okay.
What's the one with the duck bill?
Diphtheriasaurus. D's nuts. It's
Diphtheriasaurus is horrifying.
Is it Frumundosaurus?
Fromunda cheese.
Okay. Further points. I have an odd end point.
Really?
Yes. This episode.
What is it?
This episode has just the third mention of the Dominion.
Right, that's right.
DS9.
Yeah.
It was something they started sprinkling into season 2.
Because I think part of the reason why Odo is going into the Gamma Quadrant is he just wants to go there to see what kind of clues he can find about his origins.
Yeah, they don't know about the founders yet, or the finders keepers.
Yeah.
Founders keepers. They don't know about the founders yet. They don't, and Odo doesn't know that there's other changelings out there necessarily, but he knows that he came through the wormhole.
And this hologram girl is all talking this shit about how like changelings
ain't no hologram girl.
There's no such thing as changelings. They're make believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, so this
It's an interesting thing that the guy that programmed this program, he was like, listen, there's no dominion here.
And changelings and shapeshifters are common to most mythologies.
So I've actually a point about this. First of all, can we agree that Odo prefers being called shapeshifter? We've had this discussion before where changeling is not necessarily pejorative, but it is not the preferred nomenclature, right?
Probably.
It's borderline offensive in changeling.
And in Northern European mythology, a changeling isn't a shapeshifter per se. It's where the fairy comes in to replace. They steal your actual baby and they replace it with a monster baby.
It's like a doppelganger.
Okay, so maybe that could be construed as to why it could be interpreted as to why it could be construed as offensive, right? Anyways, point being is Odo says
when the people's kids got weird, they'd be like, the fairies got to him. He used to be normal.
Fairies.
Now he's a fucking piece of shit.
Fairy.
He's a lazy piece of shit.
So like
fucking changeling.
We gotta shock him.
So like at the very beginning, like Odo's like saying like,
I'm a shapeshifter.
and she's all like, no, you're not a fucking shapeshifter.
You're a changeling.
You're a changeling.
You're a changeling.
So she corrected him on what he was, which is not cool.
No.
She
She's
totally
being very presumptive.
She's being very. I mean, she is a little precocious little girl. Aren't all little girls in shows precocious? They're all precocious.
Unfortunately,
And but she was a great actress. But
No, she was really good.
Another thing that was presumptuous here, and unfortunate sign of the times and of the upper level production staff, was the whole fact that Dax just assumed Odo to be heterosexual.
Oh, right. That is true.
She assumes he presents as male, which I suppose he does, and then she assumes he's heterosexual. Because when she's talking about, haven't you ever had an intimate... She's saying, like, haven't you ever fucked a chick?
Yeah.
Is what she's saying.
Right.
And when she should be saying, haven't you ever fucked a person?
Dax has fucked a chick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the point where I was going to continue my point about Taya, where later on in the episode when she was talking about like Minra gobbling up the changeling. So earlier Odo had confided in Taya, and they seemed to make buds, even though Odo was like, hey, I'm a shapeshifter. She's like, no, you're not a shapeshifter. You're a changeling and you're fucking make-believe. So that was fucked up. And later on she's like, oh yeah, let me tell you this story about this stupid and evil changeling that got eaten up by Minra because changelings are fucking stupid. And so she's like,
well, no, that's what Odo said. He said that changeling wasn't very smart.
Well, first of all, she's obviously, it's implied that the changeling isn't very smart because she got made a stupid. Her story. Her story made the shapeshifter look like unintelligent and like a bad guy. Basically, it was an antagonist in her story. The shapeshifter was the antagonist in her story. She's telling this to a shapeshifter and she's calling it a changeling. You see what I'm saying? Wouldn't that be kind of annoying to you if someone was like, you made friends with someone and then later on they're like, oh, Jesse, the people from your state, like you people, Jesse people, you always fall off cliffs into quicksand and like you lose your legs in bear traps.
Which state does Jesse live in that he falls off of cliffs? So geologically, there are cliffs and quicksand. By the way, quicksand is not a problem. It's never more than a couple feet.
Do you get the point I'm making though? Like this little girl is like talking shit about shapeshifters in front of Odo.
I just took it as some vaguely friendly trolling. Kid trolling.
Trolling.
Kid's just having fun.
She's just having fun being
exploring the boundaries of a relationship with an adult man.
I think that's weird why you put that.
Hologram.
But anyway, so I just thought that she could have been a little bit more respectful. And then she demands that he change shape for it. But that was actually cool. Actually, that part.
She's from the Bama quadrant.
This is what Jesse's on about tonight.
But
the rest of the podcast.
That was cool that like when she was trying to get him to change shape and he wouldn't do it at first, and it wasn't until later on in the episode he slowly revealed throughout the episode it's like, well, kids like would make fun of me and they would just be using me for friendships, but then by the end of it she had earned her shape change because he shape changed for her in the end.
Yeah, man.
Which was that top. Do you remember that top she was spinning?
Yeah.
Haven't you? I swear I've seen tops like that before.
Yeah, with the crank and
the cranky thing. So they have those in the Gamma Quadrant too.
Yeah.
Now, when Odo spun around to turn to that top, if you look in the background, there's some people all like looking in a different direction, other people wandering by. Like these motherfuckers think change or shapeshifters are make believe, and you got one in front of you turning into a fucking top. You'd think the whole town would be like, "Oh my fucking god!"
I know.
But only half of them seem to give a shit.
Yeah, it's so disappointing.
Part of me wishes,
Bama
as much as I like this episode, part of me wishes that Odo would have come in and done the whole, the Music Man business.
Oh, and just fucked them all up.
No, the where he's all like, you got trouble right here in River City. And just he gets up on the
he fucks them up. He tricks
Monorail.
He tricks them.
He gets on top of the holographic projector and sings the whole.
That's what I'm saying. He fucks them up. He tricks them. He pulls one on.
He says the kids are playing pool
and have like a hat.
That's what I'm saying. He pulls one over.
You got trouble.
That's
right here in River City.
You said that no. I said he fucks them up, and you said no, Dan. And I'm like, yes.
76 trombones.
Wait, no.
Big parade.
Why are you avoiding what
101 cornets. What?
You said you wish he pulled the Music Man, and to which I said, you mean like he fucks him up? You're like, no. And I'm like, yes, that's what happened in the Music Man.
No, but not at the end of it. He sells them some instruments, but then he decides to stay, and he likes the people. And mainly the guy likes the one gal.
He kind of fucked him up.
He manipulated them by singing a song and tricking them into thinking their kids were near to wells because they were playing pool.
Pool? Come on.
Yeah. Well, that would have been funny. You notice they kept talking about
not bowling.
They kept talking about green bread. I thought they were saying grain bread.
I thought it was grain.
It's
bread.
green bread.
It's
green bread.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not eating green bread.
Is that what the business at the bottom of the screen said?
Don't
green bread.
It's green bread, and the script says green bread.
Don't eat.
I think that's
bread.
sourdough. One time I was at a friend's house in Philadelphia, and I woke up in the middle of the night and found a bagel.
It's yellow. Sourdough's yellow.
And I
it's
ate.
not green.
I took a bite of the bagel, and I was like, this tastes like sourdough. And I turned the light on, and the bagel was just completely green. It wasn't even fuzzy. It was
my
just
Lord,
green.
where were you doing? What was
in our
this?
friend's house in Philadelphia.
Was it a tasty bagel?
Who's friend? Oh,
the only friend we have in Philadelphia, who used to live in
no.
Philadelphia, who no longer lives there.
That sounds awful.
It was in their apartment.
It's a nightmare. Was it all fuzzy?
No, it was just all green. It was weird.
Oh my god!
It's a double nightmare.
Was it one of them St. Patrick's
It was
Day
a nightmare.
bagels?
It was a nightmare for Dan for biting into some like moldy weirdness. It's also a nightmare for the people whose house he's at. Dan's in the middle of the night rummaging through their stuff.
It was moldy. It wasn't food colorant.
It was not food coloring.
It was mold.
It tasted like sourdough that was gross.
Lord.
It tasted like gross sourdough.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Look, they knew I was going to be there rummaging through their food.
Okay.
I was welcome to do it.
Okay.
That's what you do.
Let's wrap things up.
Okay, I'd like to say a couple funny things Coleus said in terms of in addition to him going
Holograms?
Holograms?
he also called Dax
Dex.
Yes, Dex.
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 Yeah, I
Dex.
remember that.
Dex.
and at the end he was like talking to Odo and he goes like
With Yodo. With Yodo.
Yodo.
With Yodo.
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 wait.
With Yodo.
Yodo.
With
Yodo.
Yodo. With Yodo.
With Yodo.
With Yodo.
I'm with you,
With
Odo.
Yodo.
I'm with you, Odo.
With Yodo.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
With Yodo. With Yodo.
White
With Yodo. With Yodo.
All right. What was the other funny thing?
Holograms?
You said there was more funny things?
Dex.
Dex. All right. That was a funny thing in the Yodo.
Yeah, those
Chief
are two funny
O'Brien.
things.
Are there any other funny things?
We don't get that many visitors.
He almost sounds like Jonathan Banks there in Better Call Saul. It's like,
Whoa, I got to try that.
don't look at my granddaughter.
Airman Trout.
Wait, Jonathan Banks.
We don't get that many visitors.
Kind of does.
We don't get that many of it.
I find that very peculiar.
Whatever you do, don't
sort of
go to
sounds
work
like him.
today.
Change them.
Don't be a changeling.
I'm a shapeshifter.
You gotta go.
Was Jonathan
home.
Banks in Deep Space Nine or
Yeah.
was he in TNG?
He was in Deep Space Nine.
I'm a shapeshifter.
In season
You're
1.
a changeling.
You're
I'm
gonna
a shapeshifter.
You're gonna go home and
You're
stop
a
being a
changeling.
shapeshifter.
I'm a
for while.
shapeshifter.
You're a changeling.
I despise you.
Quark,
I'm
you
a
gotta
shapeshifter.
Quark, you
You're a
gotta
changeling.
stop this business.
I
You gotta go
despise
home
you.
and stop the business.
I'm a shapeshifter.
You're a changeling.
Okay.
Yadera Prime.
All right. I see which point in the evening we're at, and that point is where we conclude our
The
discussion.
village was created 30 years ago. That guy was from Yadera Prime.
And what we do is we tell you what we're going to talk about next week,
Omicron part.
and tell you how to find us on the social media, and then beg for you to
I liked when-
rate us and follow us and all that other
I
good
liked
stuff.
when Odo was all talking to Taya, like, at the end saying like, I'll miss you too, Taya. And they played some kind of like fluty music that was all like made you all like it was all emotional fluty music.
I like that part as well.
Yeah.
All right. So, conversation concluded. Next week, normally,
That was a not so subtle message to me.
normally, we would rely on Dan's proprietary algorithm to select the episode for next week. That's how we found this episode. We ran last week's episode through the algorithm, and it spit out a list of episodes. And this episode was right at almost at the top.
Algorithms.
At the top are always episodes we've already
Past
done
tense.
New
before.
algorithms.
But this episode was very near the top.
New algorithms.
So that's. But anyway, regardless, the point is we're not doing that next week because Star Trek Picard's final season is starting on February 16th. Sorry, I was starting to slip into a Cosby thing there. It's like,
Oh no.
Don't
Captain
worry.
Picard.
Bilana's on it.
But don't worry.
final season. So Captain Picard, Star Trek Picard, Captain
How fascinating.
Star Trek Picard
Captain Picard.
starts on February 16th. So we're going to start our weekly coverage of that television
You
program.
must be mistaken.
So to prepare for that,
How many episodes does that Jenks have?
10 episodes.
10.
To get in the mood,
You must be mistaken.
for that,
You were right.
we're gonna watch Ship in a Bottle from TNG's 6th season.
We're gonna watch it. We're gonna take it and we're gonna watch it.
It's got Captain
'Cause
Picard in it.
That would connect us to
It's my way or the highway.
things that happen in the Picard.
We saw in the preview some stuff that suggested that episode,
Yeah,
at
very
least
bizarre.
tangentially, even if only briefly and lightly, at least tangentially, that episode might be relevant.
Maybe so.
We'll see. But regardless, it's a fun episode, and it also closes the loop on our conversation that we
talked
started
about the other one.
when we discussed Elementary Dear Data, which I believe was season 2 TNG. A few weeks back, I can't remember, a couple months ago, we talked about Elementary Dear Data. Great episode. Go check it out. So yes, next week, watch TNG's Shape in a Bottle.
And there's no algorithm.
And
I
no
find
algorithm.
that very peculiar.
We'll get back to the algorithm whenever we're back to not talking about new Star Trek episodes, because we still don't know when Strange New World starts or when Discovery starts. We don't know if they're going to overlap with Picard or Picard's going to lead right into those or what. But regardless, that's just the deal. You know all the information you need to know. Okay, so how to get in contact with us, how to support us. Well, you can follow us on social media at It's Got Star Trek. That's Twitter, Mastodon.
Mastodon?
Yeah,
Mastodon?
Y'all like that Mastodon.
Mastodon.
You know, Elon Musk
They call
has
me-
ruined what they have over there at Twitter. So I've moved over to Mastodon to 10 forward. It's at It's Got Star Trek at 10 forward.
Do you mean Master Dan, which is me? I am Master Dan.
Master Dan's a masturbator.
Man, what are you
Just a
trying to
masturbator.
just
You are
what are you trying to
are-
say?
You are a clinical masturbator.
Just what are you trying to say to me? What are you trying to say to me, sir? Captain, what are you trying to say to me right now? I just don't know.
To Paul.
All
All right. Social media at It's Got Star Trek.
Julian.
Facebook.
Wait, that's the wrong show.
Instagram.
Chief O'Brien.
We're on YouTube. People seem to dig that. We'd love for you to subscribe to us on YouTube. Even if you don't listen to the
Chief
podcast
O'Brien?
on YouTube, it helps us out. If you subscribe to it, it helps us with their algorithms. Forget about Dan's algorithm. There's other algorithms we have to deal with.
I would
like
be
the
keep
YouTube
playing.
algorithm.
I'm not playing the sound clip algorithms anymore because it's on the other playlist, and when I have to switch playlists, it plays the first one, and it's all inconvenient. I need to figure out a way to consolidate these sounds in a certain way.
Delighted that you've explained that.
I just want people to know why I'm not playing algorithm every time you say algorithm, because it's
Okay.
driving me crazy. I'm like, I'm supposed to be playing algorithms whenever he says that.
I'm sure it's going to drive some people in the audience crazy as well. But I do
They're
need
gonna
to
think
point
that
out
they're gonna think that I'm bad at my job. They're gonna think I'm unprofessional.
that is a conclusion they might come to. But you can also find us on our website, www.itsgotstartrek.com. Very useful stuff on the website. And feedback at itsgotstartrek.com for any private messages or longer messages you want to send our way.
Bone carvings.
And definitely, if you can, go rate and review us. It helps. It sucks that it helps, but it helps.
Give us 5 stars.
5 stars, and you're like, these guys.
7 stars.
These guys with the Star Trek.
2.5 stars.
Just write that in the review, right? These guys with the Star Trek.
These guys.
That's good enough. That's all you got to write. Apple Podcast or Google or Pocket Cast, whatever you can. If you can manage it, click on it. It'd be great. It'd be helpful. All right, so that does it for us this week. Next week we have Ship in a Bottle. We look forward to talking to you then, and we look forward to not talking to you anymore this week. All right, goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
That was my favorite cloak.